Yeah.
Okay. Good morning to everybody. I am Coco and I am proudly presenting yet again the EDS Engineering Chat show this year at the EDS exhibition. And we're very, very excited to be able to actually bring you some Zoom episodes pre-show, which we weren't able to do last year, and talk to some speakers that are going to be at the event so that you actually get your juices flowing, get you excited about going along to this event and finding out what it's all about. And my first guest is Tom Pickering, and it's an absolute pleasure to be talking to Tom. Tom is he is the co-founder of Zero Carbon Ventures, but also an executive at NASDAQ and FTSE Fast Growth Technology companies. And he is a passionate supporter of UK engineering entrepreneurs. I mean, I can't give a better introduction than that. Good morning to you, Tom Pickering.
Morning, Coco. How are you?
Morning. I mean, amazing. A passionate supporter of UK engineering entrepreneurs. That fills me with some excitement just hearing those words. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm an engineer, so and I make things happen. So I like to create an environment whereby engineers operate at their very best and fix problems and do something useful and make money for the UK economy. And all of those things at the moment are at threat. So there's a lot of ideology around, and you can around climate change, which actually distorts the facts. And so I'm really passionate to get to those facts and align strategy to deliver real hard results and create businesses which turn around the UK economy. So, there's some great opportunities. This problem is actually a lot more complex than some people make out. It's not as simple as just EVs. You need to develop hybrid strategies, and engineers are absolutely critical to finding these solutions. And if you give them the opportunity, you give them your support, and you provide the right governance and the review structure, then you're really in a great place. If you indoctrinate them with ideology, and you're going to switch them off just like that. So it's a very fine balance, huge opportunity. I'm pleased to say I'm involved in quite a few companies that really make a difference. There's also some big geopolitical issues which really concern me and should concern all of us around China overtaking our automotive industry. So it's a really, really important time to move. And it's also a very important time to face the ideology. So the words such as hydrogen economy, there is no such thing as hydrogen economy. Green hydrogen's misleading as well. The psychology of these terms is very important to understand, and this distorts strategy. So I'm very interested in the psychology of this as well as the engineering and the commercialization. But cutting to the chase, what I do is I basically commercialize technology. I work with small or large organizations and make things happen and show them how to do things a lot quicker than they would do otherwise.
That's incredible. What I mean, as a mother of a 13-14-year-old boy who's just about to choose what GCSEs he takes, and having been in this industry sector for 25 years, I know I don't look at Tom, but it's I keep talking about the incredible opportunities that's out there for the next generation, how important this is, and I think that message needs to be spread. Where did this passion come from? How did you just personally share a little bit about how you got into this? Because you're turning around companies and you're helping all these companies. Where did that start? I mean, you don't look old enough either, Tom. You don't look old enough either.
well, yeah, we can talk about that later. But where did it start? It started very young by me being bold. So I worked in factories. I worked in a factory when I was 17. I went to the boss and I said, look, I can do the job running this factory better than your son. And the following on Monday I was given the job, right? So that wasn't a rehearsal. And it was quite an interesting industrial relations situation I walked into. So it comes down to boldness. I also come from a family of all my grandfathers were general managers in the big Birmingham manufacturing companies, BSA at the time, in the sort of 1950s. So it's sort of inbred, but I think I'm really passionate about doing something useful. And the thing about engineering is you create something and sell something which is very tangible and is actually really good fun, because when you're making something, it requires a lot of people to pull that together, and it's very, very difficult to do that. And so I like the interaction with people. I like to see people performing at their best, like your son. And I've got two fantastic daughters, and it's about providing opportunities for people and letting people do the job. And I think the a lot of people moan about the engineering sector, not attracting the best talent. We've got to create businesses that people want to work for, Coco, in my view.
Yes.
And that's what I've spent my time in industry doing, and making it really exciting to work in aerospace environment. Aerospace is fantastic, because if you've got an aircraft, there's nothing more exciting than an aircraft. Women love aircraft, men love aircraft. They're just a fantastic thing. Very exciting to work in the aerospace industry. Automotive is pretty good as well. Different culture. So I think it's about creating opportunity.
Yeah, and like you say, I mean, you have got a very, when I was looking into talking to you, you have a vast knowledge across many sectors, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you've helped over 200 businesses. That's a number we've plucked up that's come from somewhere. That's a phenomenal amount of businesses that you've helped. And you founded your company Icebreaker Executive in 2005.
Yeah.
So you've worked across a multitude of companies, and also I would say you've seen transformation in an interesting time. I mean, the last 15 to 20 years has been very interesting time, and those of us that are on the other side of the consumer's world, as it were, we kind of seen behind the scenes the impacts that this is having and what we've got to do to put it right. And you're an expert in that. How is that? I don't think people personally realize the complexity of how integrated all of these sectors are until we had our pandemic, and now it seems to have. I don't know what your thoughts are around that, Tom.
Yeah, well, I think I'd try to capture that. There's two things to that. One is, I think, developing the right skills. So executives, when they reach a certain point of their career, what's going to make them better? What I've found is I developed a program, which is the crux of the Icebreaker business, around psychology, which enables people to resolve what I describe as being the right problem. And without which you're stuck. So I talked about ideology. That's just touching on that. So I run a program on that. And actually, what good looks like there is that an executive team can do that the following day, literally, because you're taking new actions, and from taking new actions, you open up new opportunities. So that's a summation of the learning from 200 company turnarounds. The other thing I think, which is a bit unique to the current situation, is you have to move on all fronts. So when I was in the automotive industry, I was always pretty ambitious, as you can probably.
No, you don't seem ambitious at all to me, Tom. You're very, very demure.
I always stuck my neck out, and I think what was interesting in the good old days, things were relatively confined, so I'd be operating with a lot of responsibility, but the industry was relatively self-contained, and there weren't too many moving parts. Now there are an awful lot more moving parts. So the crux of that is to orchestrate, and what I mean by that is to create organizations like Zero Carbon Ventures. There's a couple of others that I'm involved with that actually will have a forum that's worthwhile for the very best people to turn up to, and you orchestrate that group of people, from customers to suppliers and engineers, are actually going to make things happen to create a forum which is aligned to fixing that problem on multi-dimensions. So I think one of the challenges with the UK industry at the moment is that a lot of engineers are trying to create better widgets. It's not a time for better widgets, because whatever you create now is going to be out of date tomorrow. And there's an awful lot of people working on the same problem, coming up with radically different solutions to the same challenge. So you've got, if you take electric batteries, you've got lithium ion, you've got solid state, and you've got sodium ion. In fact, you've got lead acid as well. So you've got all of these different technologies, and people make assumptions like, solid state's going to be 2035. No, it's actually about 2025. There's some big car manufacturers. So there are, these are the things, and so you've got to stay in tune with all of this stuff and have the best partners. And I think it's a combination of SMEs really punching above their weight to deal with automotive OEMs, who are the most conservative organizations you've ever come across before. But it's about trying to create that infrastructure. That's what I'm doing currently, to create that infrastructure to deliver products that work and are safe and do what they say, but then to stay ahead and innovate and capture the very best of UK SMEs and create to convert their dreams to reality as well. Because otherwise there are just a lot of people sitting in sheds inventing stuff that will pretty much create what we had in the 1950s in the British motorcycle industry. there were 50 manufacturers of motorbikes, all of which went bust because they didn't. There were lots of people in sheds that grew to a bigger shed, but actually we need to pull that together and make that happen. And I was delighted to go to a business in Birmingham the other day, really innovating on truck batteries and charging, absolutely at the forefront of that, but again in a shed. But let's get out the shed, let's make this happen. So I'm pulling together the partnerships to commercialize that and actually compete with the Chinese to get that stuff off the road, on the road, literally off the road, on the road.
Well, I love your I love your energy and your passion for it, and I think every good business starts in a shed. Personally, Tom.
Yeah, mine always have.
Yeah, mine too. So it could be a glamour shed, it could be many things, but it's where you start. And I loved something that you'd said to one of our team, which was design manufacturers are the pathfinders. I think is to me, from a very philosophical and also psychology point of view, that pathfinders is that's how I feel about it. Very much passionately, that everything we do has such an impact, and everybody needs to get to know this, not just the engineering sectors and the people behind the machines.
And engineers are really are obviously the people who create those solutions. Who else builds bridges? Who else builds cars? Who else builds aircraft? Who else built your house? So we just need to liberate those engineers, let them off the lead, give them opportunities, know how to engage with them, tie them into these orchestration things, and also make things happen much faster. Let them make decisions. Making decisions is really critical, because without making decisions, people don't make progress. It sounds very obvious, but a lot of engineering teams, individuals in engineering teams, are not allowed to make decisions, Coco. And so that's a very weird paradox, and engineering leaders often haven't got the confidence to let them make decisions. So and this is actually quite difficult to manage, and democracy, free speech is absolutely critical to this. So if you listen to most of what I talk about, it's about democracy, it's about free speech, it's about enabling the best, it's about meritocratic organizations, it's also about picking up the pieces in society as well. So you don't want to you've got to create businesses that are actually going to create the infrastructure to make the UK a better place to live in. I've got 2 girls, I'm concerned about their futures, create opportunities. And you've got a son who
a daughter, actually,
who's fantastic. So regardless, women are actually different to men, which I think is important to recognize. Let's be clear. They have different skills, and it is very important to, and actually the notion of actually attracting 50% women into engineering, very, very, very unlikely to happen, right? It's a bit like forcing women to become bricklayers, okay? It's very unlikely to happen, but I've come across some excellent women engineers, and we should just simply not force 50-50, because that's just not sensible. But what we should do is make engineering environments for women, who actually tend to be more demanding on leadership. I think they tend to put up with less weak engineering leadership than men, which is great. But we need to just create an environment that, whether you're male or female, you want to work in and enjoy coming to work and really feel like you're making a difference. And I think that really is really, really important.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Like you say, it's that making the difference. It's doing something that, like you say, and actually, as I've done some other exhibitions with Mark Allen Group, we've seen more female engineers coming and chatting to me than ever. There's more coming through, which is really exciting, and it's great. And I'm looking forward to being at the exhibition. Your speaking session at the exhibition is all about sustainable engineering. I mean, and how your design work can benefit. And I can already see you're incredibly assertive and powerful willed. I can feel it through Zoom. I can feel it coming through, Tom. So I would say, how important are these exhibitions like EDS? I mean, we're obviously it takes a lot to put an exhibition on. I know that because I'm an event organizer as well, but it takes a lot. How crucial is it that we keep these exhibition going, that they come and support us and they hear people like yourself speak? You know, why do people need to come back and go to EDS and talk to you, listen to you? I mean, I want to listen to you on the day. I'm going to come listen to you. But tell everyone that's listening now why they should be doing that.
Well, I think, I can really only talk from my perspective, but the reason why I go to shows is to challenge my own thinking. And to find out on a broader scale what's going on, and also develop new relationships. Because it's about commercializing relationships, identifying. The last show I went to, I was looking for. I wasn't particularly looking for. I was looking for people who really knew what they were talking about. That I could work with, or work, through my network could play a part in what I just talked about. So. And also to challenge my own thinking, because we talked about starting businesses in sheds. I mean, I challenge my thinking as much as possible, but it's very important to get out of our sheds and just check our thinking. And I think particularly at the moment, there's so much technology around which is different but fixing the same problem, like sodium-ion batteries, lithium, solid state, etc. And actually, it's very interesting, actually. Some very small companies doing some absolutely fantastic things, and it's such a tragedy to squander that, or not to commercialize that, or not to check it at least, because I may be wrong. I may be wrong. The technology may not be great, but actually, just to find out, and rationalize something, because I'm also equally clear about when things aren't going to work, and actually shutting down businesses, because that's equally important, because it's very easy to believe your own truths. And it's so important we've got people around us that steer the ship, because that's actually the way strategy happens. And it's the conduit. Free speech is the sort of engine for that. But it's very important for all of us. And this is where the exciting dynamic is, where the multiplier is. Just even this morning, I was talking about with a very large organization, leveraging a very small SME who've got really two great bits of technology to tie into their R&D roadmap, and take it to the mega stage, alongside a lot of very interesting partners. So that's why I go to shows. And
EDS is a goodie, as we know. EDS,
I enjoy it. Yeah. And engineering design is very important. I mean, I've actually got a degree in engineering design, although I've hardly ever used it in my career.
I have a sister who has a degree in engineering design as well. Actually, she built many bridges in the military. So there's many. I mean, there's a multitude, and she's female. And
that's great.
But there's I think anyone that's going to be coming along on the 10th and the 11th of October should come and listen to you speaking. What time are you speaking, Tom? When are you speaking?
No idea.
You don't know yet. We don't know yet. Well, we can deal with that. We can let people know that with the powers that be nearer the time. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we finish up today? Because obviously we want to leave the juicy bits to the show so that people can see you in the flesh. I'm excited to meet you in person because I just encourage people to be bold, and if things don't make sense, speak up. Simple as that. In the meantime. Because if you don't speak up, some strange things will happen to you that you don't want. And so that would be my only thing I'd add. Other than that, I'll talk about in more detail, a bit more structured, what I think is critical to achieve what I've just been talking about, some more specific things that hopefully people might find helpful. Well, I think you come across as someone that's very, very helpful, and thank you for the help that you're putting out there, and the energy and the passion and boldness is something I'm a great advocate of as well. And it's you have to keep you have to keep the faith, you have to keep going, you have to keep pushing forward, so one step in front of the other, don't you? So it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. We've had these episodes sponsored by Oriental Motor UK. I know that they're looking at, there's so many different industries that are looking at different ways of help, and I'm sure you're going to be able to help hundreds and hundreds more, Tom. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, sharing some of your knowledge with us, and I can't wait to hear you speak in person, and when that time is released, we will announce it to the EDS platform and world, and this will be going out to the multitudes in advance, getting more information. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, so Tom Pickering, co-founder of Zero Carbon Ventures, and he will be speaking on sustainable engineering at the EDS show. We don't know if it's the 10th, we don't know if it's the 11th, but you want to be coming for both days anyway, because there's going to be a whole load more speakers. And we're delighted at the engineering chat, you know, for the EDS to have people like you come on and talk in advance of the show for us this time. So thank you so much, Tom. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, Coco.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks.